Good evening. Get my settings all set up here. Thank you for joining me, and welcome to Organizational Behavior. My name is Rick Boone. I'll be your teacher for the next 8 weeks. I'm happy to teach this class. I usually teach it every semester, and it's an area for me that's really interesting and has been a real benefit to me in my workplace. Gosh, even in my relationships and in my home, to be honest with you, even though we're talking about business stuff primarily. But yeah, I'm happy to be here with you and to lead you through some learning over the next 8 weeks. My goal for you tonight is to give you a little bit of information about me, kind of just so you know where I'm coming from and kind of why this information in this class is important to me and how it can be important for you too. I want to give you an overview of the class and what is required of you. So you know after tonight exactly what is expected of you and you know what to do tonight and for the rest of this week. And then the third thing I want to discuss with you is basically how to get an A, or to how to meet your goals. If your goal is to get an A in the class, I want to show you exactly how to do that in this class. We'll look through the syllabus, look at the points, look at the assignments, and make sure that you have a very clear expectation. And maybe your goal is to get a C because you're working full time and have family at home, and you're taking this class on top of all that stuff. Whatever that goal is for you, I want to help support you in that. So, and again, show you exactly how to accomplish that. So first, I'll get started a little bit just about me, so you know where I'm coming from. I came from the community college system myself. I grew up in Long Beach, and out of high school, I had no idea what I wanted to do for work, and ended up at Long Beach City College, and somehow was able to transfer out after 2 years to a private university, and got my bachelor's degree. Started working right afterwards and got married right after graduation, and was just really trying to figure out, what was going to work for me. I've been self-employed in some way or another since I was 18, and I think that entrepreneurial spirit actually carries well over into the workplace, the general workplace, as well as an employee. And so I think those are great kind of skills to nurture in yourself, in addition to a lot of communication that we'll talk about in this class. I started working outside of graduating high school a couple of years later, got my real estate license. I worked full time in real estate for 9 years. And overlapping that, I started teaching part time at nights. And I realized that over those couple of years of working during the day in real estate, teaching part time at nights, just realized that I found I'm sorry, I found teaching so much more fulfilling for me than real estate. And so made the transition into higher education. Uh, in those years, I earned my master's in business from Cal State Fullerton. Helped me get a full-time job at a university, and worked administratively, like in the business roles in that university for 4 years. While I was at that university working, I also earned a doctorate, or took my doctorate classes at that university while I was there, which led me into teaching at IVC full time, which has been amazing. I've been at IVC now for 10 years, or I'm just finishing my 10th year. It's been awesome. IVC is a great campus. I have awesome colleagues, and we have amazing services for our students. So I'm happy to be at IVC full time. So my work experience outside of being self-employed largely has been in academia, but not just in teaching roles, in business-related roles where I served as a manager. I had employees myself in some of those positions. So training, having employees that had kids, had babies. Um, Gosh, we went through a layoff at one point. So having to lay off an employee, that's a hard job to do. Um, so all that to say, I'm coming to this class with educational experience, right? Business, MBA, doctorate in organizational leadership is what my doctorate's in, and but also from the practical world. And one of the things I think I appreciated most from my community college teachers, which in some ways I feel were better teachers than I had at the university level, both for undergraduate, and for my MBA. I mean, I some of my teachers were not good teachers in my MBA program. I had some awesome teachers at Long Beach City College. And I think in the back of my mind, that's why I ended up coming back to community college myself. And like I said, I'm grateful to be here. So hopefully that real life experience, I really try to put that into my classes. So when we're talking about concepts, when you're watching a video lecture or something of that sort, I usually will try to pick up some of the concepts of theory and definitions and law that we're learning about in the book. And I discuss a little bit more of the real life perspective of those concepts, just to help keep you grounded. That's not just about, memorizing a definition or understanding a concept, but these are all things that can help you in your future, both into your degrees and hopefully in the workplace as well. So that's a little bit of where I'm coming from. What else? Yeah, so let's chat a little bit about the class. I want to make sure you can see again what's expected of you and see where everything's at. So I'm going to share screen here in just a sec, and we'll look at the class Canvas shell. Again, I see we've got a little bit, somebody came in a little bit late. Feel free to use the chat if you have any questions along the way, or if you want to talk verbally, just go ahead and raise your hand, and I can pause the recording for you. All right, where'd it go? I'm gonna share screen here. I apologize. Give me one quick sec. All right, so we're going to take a look at our Canvas shell. And you'll see that on the left menu, it's very, very simple. I do this on purpose. So don't look at the left and say, oh, that's easy. Not necessarily easy, but simple on purpose. So you'll see here our home page, which hopefully, if you have not done it yet, let me start with this. If you have not done this yet in Canvas, in your account settings, there is a button that says notifications. Please go check on your notification settings. I really appreciate this button because you can yourself stipulate what communications you want to get and when. So when you get an announcement, is it immediately? Is it at the end of the day? Is it at the end of the week? For a grade change or for an announcement or for whatever that is. So please go in there, double check your notifications. You should have received some emails from me already. And we'll look at those in just a second, this announcements tab. But first up, our homepage, you'll see here some just basic information. We are going to be using McGraw-Hill Connect, and you'll see again that link right here on the left for our book, our virtual book. You do not have to have a hard copy book for this class, but we will be using McGraw-Hill Connect. It's their online, book system, in addition to assignments like quizzes, exams, and reading through SmartBook. So that link will be right here. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. Here on the homepage, you'll see the syllabus. We will look at the syllabus tonight too, again, to make sure that you know what's expected of you. And I mentioned how to get an A in this class if that's your goal. I am available to you for office hours. These are set hours that I'm available to you, so feel free to pop in. But if you're not available during these hours, I know a lot of my students are busy and are working and have other commitments outside of school. Please email me. I'm usually really quick at replying by email. And if these times don't work, I'm happy to set up another time with you, so long as I can schedule it in to meet with you over the phone or on Zoom. I want to be accessible to you. It's basically my whole job to help you learn. And so I'm happy to meet up with you if that's going to help you learn. Um, here's, although this might feel overwhelming, here's every assignment for this class in the next 8 weeks. It's all here in Canvas. It's already scheduled. It's up and it's live, although you might not be able to see all of it yet. So if this feels overwhelming to you, I'll show you this in another format. But it's all here just so you can see it up front. I work really hard in my online sections to create a system up front that is clear, that very rarely has to change. And so you can kind of bank on this schedule, although I'm seeing, I don't know why you can see these two old discussion things. So ignore that, but I'll check on that. So really easy. There's our home page. Again, we'll come back to the syllabus tab in just a few minutes here. Announcements. Again, you should be getting this via email. If you haven't, please go check those notification settings. So there's a welcome email, right? This week one announcement was pretty long. That is not a typical Monday morning announcement for me. Okay, that's just in the week one, kind of giving you everything that you need to accomplish and be aware of. Here's a reminder, right, for this meeting tonight on Zoom. But typically in a normal week, I'll be messaging you just once on Mondays. I try not to bug students too much. I know that can feel overwhelming. And so I try to do really succinct, clear messages usually on Monday mornings, unless something is happening in midweek that I need to, give you a heads up on. Here's the meat of the class, our modules tab. Again, this menu, super, super simple, right? But everything lives in these modules. So here's our week one. Here's a recording from last semester. I will upload this current video that we're having now into this page to come back and refer to if you need to. But here's our week one assignments. Now, this class, we're running on 8 weeks, so it is a busy 8 weeks. There are quite a few chapters. Most weeks have double chapters. I've tried to spread it out kind of evenly, like for the midterm exam that week, there's only 1 chapter, but another week there's 3 chapters. So it's just trying to balance that need to accomplish the goals for the class. And so you'll see here's our week one. And hopefully this is super clear as we walk through it. And again, I'll show you this in yet another format just to be clear. But here's our week one discussion. This is due on Thursday night. So I have you do your initial post on discussion boards. We will do discussion boards every week, except for maybe in the last week, I think. Here's our week one discussion, Thursday night. So your initial post, again, sorry, I'm being repetitive. Your initial post is due Thursday night, and then you have an additional a couple days till Sunday evening to respond to 2 peers. When you look at this discussion board, I try to be very clear up front and show you what's expected of you. Clear questions, all of the discussion questions or prompts that I give you, understand that there's no wrong answer. In the discussions, I try to do or try to use questions like we would in a class where I'm giving you an opportunity to share your opinion, but I am looking for you to back up that opinion with some sort of fact. So again, there's no right or wrong answer, but I do look for the why. So I believe this, or I'm doing this because, right? And that's where I'm looking for your personal perspective. I do have a rubric, and I grade all the discussions on a rubric. The rubric is the same for all discussions. Let me see if in my view I can see this or not. I'm hoping you can see this. Can I get a thumbs up if you can see this? Let me just double check yeah, it looks like it. Okay. So here's the rubric for the discussion boards. You'll see again that initial post by Thursday is what I'm looking for, that due date. I kind of give you, I do give you a quantitative expectation for these points. You can see it's 3 to 4 well-written sentences. But I will say that really it is about the quality. So I'm giving you a quantity here as a guide. But if you're writing 3 sentences and you just really nail your perspective and you're able to communicate clearly about why you're answering the question that way, that's what I'm looking for. So I do have some guides here, 2 to 3 sentences, and then, sometimes you might respond to the discussion board and it says, I agree. Well, I'm sorry, that's 0 points. That doesn't give me anything. This discussion board is to basically substitute for us being able to have open discussions in the classroom. Okay. So here's that initial post by Thursday night, and then your responses. So I'm looking for 2 responses per week, a minimum. Don't feel like you have to do 5 or you have to do 10. You can just do 2, and that's okay. But again, I'm looking for some sort of qualitative measure here with a quantitative expectation, to be clear. And this is due by Sunday night in the discussion boards. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to put those questions in the chat. But so on Sunday, usually Sunday late night, especially in week 1, I tried to grade these very, very quickly so that you know exactly where you stand. And going into week 2, you know how to correct if you're really looking to earn every point, if those grades, are that important for you. So I do try to grade these quickly, and I do use this discussion board rubric for that grading. So largely you can refer to this and go, oh yeah, I only got 4 points. Why was I missing any points? Well, I mean, here's the expectation. You can always feel free to come back and ask questions. Let me know if you're having any concerns. Typically, if you're getting a 9 points out of 10, that's an A, right? So I don't usually give a lot of feedback if you're getting an A. Awesome job. I mean, that's great, right? Sometimes in assignments, if you're getting a 6 or a 7 or something like that, that's usually when I give some more feedback, because I can see obviously you probably want some feedback too to correct any issues that might be there. All right, so let's go back to our Canvas screen. So there's our discussion board prompt for week 1 and the rubric. You can refer to that as well. And in week 1, I'm just looking to kind of get an update from you, learn about you a little bit, see why you're here in the class, and for you to explain that to your peers in the class as well. So there we go. Okay, I'll just come back here again to our modules tab. That's going to be kind of our go-to place for our work in the class. That's our discussion board. You'll see I have a chapter 1 video. I see your hand raised. Let me go through this week real quick, and then I can pause the recording to ask, or if you want to use the chat in the next minute or two, that's fine too. But then I'll open up in a sec. So there's our week 1 discussion. Again, every week we will have a discussion. I have a video lecture for you, chapter 1. So again, in these chapter lectures, I try to pull out some of the items that are discussing in that chapter and put some real life perspective to it. So you're learning the definitions, you're learning the theory in the book, and then I'm bringing in some of that real life to really kind of bring home and put some purpose behind that theory. You'll see in the chapter 1 in as we cover these chapters, I'm having you read the book. You'll notice I'm actually giving you points for doing your reading. If you have never used McGraw-Hill Connect Smart Book, I have a link. Oh, it's not there. I will put a link right here in the week 0 module. I've had students in the past think that they are reading the Smart Book, but then at the end of the week, they said, I read everything, but they're not getting points. And so there's certain requirements as you go through the chapter and how you're reading it, to kind of account for these points and the progress that you're making through the chapter. I do have students tell me that they like this Smart Book system, not just because I'm giving you points for it, but it's kind of a little bit more interactive way of reading as opposed to a flat page on a book. And then you'll see that each chapter, there is a quiz. These quizzes in the week that it's due, right? This is due this Sunday, chapter 1 quiz. You are able to take that quiz multiple times to earn your highest points. And that is worth 8 points there as well. You'll see, again, still in week 1, this first week of class, we have chapter 2 as well, lecture video, chapter 2 reading, smart book, and the chapter 2 quiz. Notice due on Sunday, due on Sunday, due on Sunday, due on Sunday. Right? So I'm giving you almost a whole week every week, right? You've got a whole week to get this work done. You have flexibility in that. But come Sunday after it's due, that's the closed door. I don't accept late work. I'll talk a little bit more about policies in a few minutes here. But unless you're, like hospitalized or something happens like that, and we can kind of document that. I'm pretty firm on the no late work thing, because I'm giving you such flexibility in this week of work. Again, notice the discussion board. Your initial post due Thursday nights. Your 2 responses due by Sunday. Okay, so there's our week 1 in a snapshot. I'll take a pause real quick. I do see the question in the chat. Thank you so much. Can we do both of our responses on Sunday? Absolutely. Um, Oh yeah. No, I don't monitor which responses you're doing on which days. I don't have enough time for that. I'm sorry. So if you're going to post your initial post on Thursday, come back in on Saturday and do two posts, or maybe you're working Saturday, you're going to do it on Sunday. So long as it's in there before 11:59 p.m., it does not I do not require different days of postings. Obviously, if everybody's posting on Sunday, that's why I build in though that the initial post by Thursday, and that gives several day window in there for people to respond when you have time. I hope that answers the question. Yeah, you're very welcome. That's perfect. Thanks for putting that in the chat. I'm not going to go through every single week like this, but just to kind of show you the consistency, here we go. That week 2 discussion, Smart Book in McGraw-Hill Connect, quiz, lecture, Smart Book, quiz. I'm not seeing my chapter 3 lecture. I'll have to look for that link. Something's missing there. You'll see in week 2, and again, we'll talk about points and that kind of thing in a little bit on the syllabus. But you'll see I do have a project in here as well. So here's your discussion in Canvas. Here's your Smart Book and quiz. And when you click on these, it will take you to McGraw-Hill. It is synced or linked, whatever term they use for that. So you can use these links to go directly to McGraw-Hill. Lecture video, this feeds you to YouTube. McGraw-Hill, McGraw-Hill. This project is done here in Canvas. I don't want to get too deep, right? Because we're looking at week 2 stuff here. I don't want to overwhelm you, but you can see the document here. There are 2 projects in the semester, and the point of these projects is, again, to kind of pull out some of the information that we're learning about in the chapter and just really put some real life perspective into it. One of the biggest classes that had an impact on me in my MBA program wasn't accounting. Not to disrespect accounting, but one of those biggest classes for me was my organizational behavior class. And the reason is because some of the words and the concepts that they were using in that class finally made sense to me. And one of those was called emotional intelligence. And I'd never heard that term before my MBA program. And maybe you haven't either. And so this project kind of focuses on that. But I talked quite a bit about emotional intelligence in this class because I believe it's probably one of the most important aspects of business and working in business, because it deals with how you interact with other people. And I think for the most part, the vast majority of business, unless you're sitting on a computer and coding all day long by yourself, you're going to have a manager. You're going to manage somebody else. You're going to have business partners. You're going to have business transactions. And all of those interactions require some sort of understanding of communication, and not just how I communicate, but how you communicate and how I understand how you communicate, if that makes sense. So I believe you're going to learn very purposeful, very useful information in this class. That's my goal for you. I mean, I hope you walk out of this class and you're like, that was the best class ever. Mr. Rick, he's my favorite teacher I've ever had, right? I hope that. I want this to be an awesome experience and useful experience for you. Again, you'll see the consistency here, right? Week 3 module. So you'll notice again, over here on the left in Canvas, that modules tab, that's our biggest chunk. And this is kind of the go-to tab for this class. There is a link for McGraw-Hill Connect. There is a cost for McGraw-Hill Connect. Because I'm in a fake account right now, like this isn't going to take me anywhere. But you can go in here and start and register directly over. Oh no. Oh, it is working. Oh yeah, see, there you go. It will take you over to McGraw-Hill Connect. You have 2 options in getting this material. One is through this link that I just showed you. Hopefully that's clear enough. It's 2 clicks. Click here, right? That'll take you to a purchase page. That I believe is the cheapest option to buy if you're paying out of pocket. It's about $50, I think. If you don't have the money today, you're like, oh my gosh, Rick, it's not the end of the month yet. I don't get paid for another 5 days. That's okay. Do not let that hold you up to start this class and the work in this class. I don't want you to get behind in week number 1. McGraw-Hill has a free 2-week access to this material, which is amazing. You go in, click free 2-week trial, and you can start working on your stuff right away. It's awesome. Come 2 weeks from now, you're going to have to pay to continue doing that work, but that gives you some time to get going. If you have some sort of bookstore voucher or bookstore credit that you use at IBC, the bookstore has access codes that you can buy through the bookstore, and through these same 2 links, McGraw-Hill Connect, Begin, you can enter in that code on the next page here. So that way, again, if you have that access to bookstore resources, you don't have to pay out of pocket. You can still get access to this pretty quickly. Again, do the 2-week trial, go get a code, use the code. If you are going to use bookstore vouchers or credit for your access code, try to get it in person at the campus. They can hand you a piece of paper or plastic, whatever it is, that has the code typed on it. If you buy it online from the bookstore, IBC bookstore online purchase, they will take that code and put it in an envelope and mail it to you. So even though you're looking for a digital online access code, they're physically mailing it to you, which I've heard students say sometimes takes a week to 10 days to get that letter. So if you can, if at all possible, if you're using bookstore credit, try to get it on campus so you can hold it in hand and enter it into that system. All right, so that's our McGraw-Hill Connect access. Of course, your grades are on here. The McGraw-Hill Connect system will import those points into Canvas, and so all of your grades will be, up to date, accurate through the next 8 weeks together. Again, I'm not sure why these are even showing up. They shouldn't be there. So I'll take care of that after offline here. All right. No additional questions yet. Perfect. So hopefully now you're seeing that you have a very clear expectation of what you are responsible for. Again, if you're in Canvas and you're on the home page, you can see every single assignment listed out here and when they're due. Or really more practical, the modules tab will show you week by week what you need to get done and those due dates that are listed. Cool, cool. So now let's take a look at the syllabus. I want to talk about the assignments, the resources that are available to you, and some policy stuff and the points. So you can see how you can get an A in this class. All right, so you can go, of course, go onto Canvas and pull down the syllabus for you. I'm going to start on the last page first. So excuse my quick scrolling right now. Hopefully that was painless. Here, as a student, this is my page. Here's how I want to see my stuff. In a one kind of snapshot, 1-page view. So I've given it to you in modules. I've given it to you in 1 page, the whole list of assignments in Canvas. So hopefully this is all clear. Here's our week 1, our intro, get McGraw-Hill Connect access. Again, you have a 2-week free trial. If you get behind in week 1, it just becomes more and more difficult to catch up. So please do jump into there. Chapter 1 and chapter 2 this week, you'll see it there. For the individual assignments, I don't have them listed here, but basically we just saw it, right? Chapter 1 reading, chapter 1 quiz, chapter 2 reading, chapter 2 quiz. Here's our week 2. I've given you some notes here on dropping. We'll talk about my drop policy in just a little bit here. But I want to make it super clear. Of course, please verify these dates in my site. I'm just human, but I'm trying to be helpful when I give you these dates. So there's just some reference to the dates there for you as well. Here's our week 2 assignments. You'll see we're covering 2 chapters and we have that project that pops in. Hopefully week 1, you have an opportunity to ramp up and get going in the class. 2 chapters in project. Here's week 3, 3 chapters. Week 4, exam number 1. I don't call it a midterm. I do exam 1 and exam 2. They are not cumulative, right? This one covers chapters 1 through 7. The exam number 2 covers chapters 8 through 14. I split up my classes with 2 exams in this class with 2 exams to give you opportunities to earn points. So, maybe you're not the best test taker. Maybe you get test anxiety. Maybe you just have a bad day when you take one of these exams. That one exam is not going to dictate your final grade. So you have multiple opportunities to earn points in here. So there's the one quick snapshot of our class over the next 8 weeks. Here are the points. I try really, really hard to develop in my classes a diverse opportunity to earn points. I hope that makes sense. So, like I just said, if you're not a great test taker and you bomb a test, that one test alone does not mean that you're going to get an F or a D in the class. It doesn't work like that. You'll see the percentages here. Chapter quizzes, there's 14 of them, 8 points each. That's almost 20% of your grade that you can take over and over again to maximize this percentage. The Smart Book, I'm giving you these points for reading. Almost 20% of your grade. Showing up, getting your reading done, getting your quizzes done. You can control that if you dedicate the time. That's 40% of your grade right there. I've learned that in business, for the vast majority of workers out there, if you show up and get your work done, you're going to be in good shape. You go above and beyond, that's when you get promotions and raises, right? But here's my real world experience put into point values. Show up and get your stuff done, and it's really going to help your grade in this class. Do your reading, do your quizzes. Almost 40% of your grade. Your discussion boards, you control over this discussion board, right? It is not a pop quiz. It's not an exam. These are just you forming opinion content that we're learning and being able to express your opinions, responding, having a discussion with your classmates. That's 12% of your grade. I showed you where those projects live. I don't want to go too in depth tonight. But the idea is that I give you very clear directions on what to do. And I give you clear expectations, maybe a 1 to 2 paragraph answer. Again, it takes time, but you have the ability to control that. Those are 40 points each, 80 points total, almost 14% of your grade. Here's the kind of the questionable, right? Your exams. Usually that first exam is probably the harder one because you don't know what to expect and you haven't had an exam, with me before. These exams are really meant to be a recap of what we've learned. I do use the questions from the publisher, but I handpick which questions I'm putting into the pools. So when you're taking exam 1, I give you, it's the first 7 chapters. And every chapter, I'm grabbing a potential 15 questions or 20 questions that I feel are not worded crazy and are applicable to what we're learning in the class and in the lectures. From that pool of questions, you're going to get 5, 6, 7 of those questions. So everybody, in essence, has a different test. They're mixed up. They're randomly pulled from the pool. And then the questions are also rotated. This is a fully online class. I've got to do what I can to try to stop cheating, to be frank. But these exams are also timed, right? And so there's also a limitation there. There's just not enough time for you to look up every question. So you have a lot of reference here to be able to go back, review previous chapter quizzes, especially if you're doing those quizzes multiple times. And you can use that material to study for the exams. So this is the big kind of question mark, right? If you do everything perfect in this class and take no exams, you can see here that you'll get a D, right? Maybe not considered passing, I guess, with the college, but it's not a fail. So you can see here, hopefully this is getting more clear for you. If you have a hard time with one test, that doesn't mean that you're going to fail. Maybe you won't get an A, but with one bombed test, you might still be able to get a B. So hopefully, again, you can see the benefit here of showing up, getting your stuff done every week, just like in the workplace. Let me check questions real fast. There we go. In Canvas, the grade sections are the week 2 and week 3 discussions also due on 3/27. I'll go back and double check those dates, but basically and I could have made a mistake in there, so I'll double check and make sure. But just know that every week for week, like in week 2, it's going to be due on Thursday. Responses due by Sunday. Week 3, that Thursday of that week, if that makes sense. Just like we see in this window of time. But thanks for letting me know. I'll double check those dates for weeks 2 and 3. Here's just a general overview, nothing different than what I just explained. But if you want to read a little bit more about what to expect for the exams, they're going to be taking online. You're very welcome. And you can kind of just take a reading of what that will look like. The exercises and discussions, I have some description here. Quizzes, again, you're going to be completing those in Connect. We've talked about those. Those are multiple choice. You have multiple attempts to get the highest points possible. What I call homework or the Learn Smart reading. Again, I'm giving you points for reading. So long as you commit the time, that is not meant to be hard. That's meant to be, an incentive for you to jump in and get that reading done. Here's that policy I have for assessments. Again, I don't take late work. Aside from, you being hospitalized or something major going on, if you're having challenges, please reach out and let me know. Don't take this as me being callous. I've found when students get very concerned about late work, I have found that students often worry about what's in the past, and then they start further getting behind, if that makes sense, in what's due now. So I really try to guide students to keep looking at the now and moving forward. And don't be stressed about, a bad week. That's why I have organized the points in this way. One bad test is not going to dictate your grade. It does not mean you fail. One bad week is not going to mean that you're going to fail this class. And so with that, I also find that with late work, we're talking about kind of hand picking. And I try not to do that. I want to give everybody kind of the same opportunities here. I don't want to hand pick, for some people to earn extra points or extra credit. I don't do extra credit. I don't want to hand pick people to kind of do that with, and only some people benefit from, but not other people, right? And so hopefully that makes sense. I saw that you have office hours. Do you have any other mandatory Zoom meetings? No. This class was scheduled as a fully online asynchronous class. So even tonight, like you're not required to be here tonight on this Zoom. I do it to try to help you out and make sure I have all of your questions answered. But there are no required Zooms for the class. That being said, obviously, with the mention of office hours, yeah, I want to be available here for you. Yeah, and if there is a Zoom, like if I'm going to do something, and you want the opportunity to come to a Zoom, although I can't actually make it required, I will absolutely let you know, and I will use the announcements function in Canvas for that communication. Good question. Thanks for that. Here's an overview of grades. IVC does not do pluses and minuses on the letter grades. So you'll see here, again, to be just super clear on this, here's how you're earning the points with the different assignments. And at the end of the 8 weeks, Canvas has a total column and it says total points. At the end of the class, I look at those total points and say, where does it land? So if you're at an 88.9%, it's going to be a B. Unless, again, I'm not perfect. If there's some technological issue happening or I messed up somewhere and those points are wrong, I'm happy to look at that with you and figure out what happened wrong. But know now at the beginning here, at the end of 8 weeks, oh, sorry, I missed, 10 different assignments. Can I redo them? I'm sorry, I don't think that's very fair for the rest of the class, right? So those points will add up and then Canvas will total that up for you. Canvas, if you haven't used it yet, does have a tool in the gradebook as well for you to be able to manipulate, for you to say, hey, if I get an 80 on this exam number 2, that last exam, what will my letter grade be? If I get a 90 on that exam, what will my grade be at the end? You can manipulate those points on your end to kind of play a what if game, if you will. So again, all that's available to you on your side with the grade book as well. This is just kind of standard language with grading policies and stuff with the campus. If you are having any challenges with your learning, please let me know. Or if you don't want to talk to me about it, there's some links here in the syllabus for some resources for you. Of course, the IVC website has a lot of resources listed, but I try to just give you some upfront information here with some phone numbers and links to be able to seek out some help. We have great resources at IVC. I'm always amazed when I hear back from a student. They're like, oh my gosh, I had this issue and here's the help I got. I'm like, that's amazing. Oh, my internet went down at home and I couldn't get access to Wi-Fi and I got a hotspot, to use from the campus. I mean, there's just a ton of resources available. So if you need something, please reach out, whether to me or to somebody else on the campus. I'm happy to try to help direct you. Again, I mentioned email communications. That's going to be the fastest way to get me. Again, please feel free to come to office hours. But if you're like, it's 12 o'clock at night and you're like, oh man, that thing, send me an email. Here's an overview of the requirements for the class. Basically, to reiterate, we have two systems that we're utilizing in class. One you should be familiar with, that's the Canvas. We've looked at that already. This link, oh, here's a great opportunity. This link may not work for you very, very soon. The college is, how can I say it, shifting to they call it a multi-factor authorization. So you have to like log in to the college system. I know I have to get a text message to my phone to be able to log in now. And then once you're logged in, then you can go to my site, you can go to Canvas, you can go to the other systems. So that change is happening very soon, like maybe in a couple days. So this old link, if you use this, please do rely now on the college website to get into Canvas to log in first. So that's our first system, Canvas. We've seen that. The second system, we've talked about it, although we didn't really see it. That is the McGraw-Hill Connect system. But please use the link in that menu in Canvas that we already saw. Even if you're using a bookstore voucher for your access code, it's best if you use that link through Canvas, because then that connects the Canvas system and the McGraw-Hill system together to bring your points in. Awesome, awesome. We're going through still just some guidelines, general guidelines. Some of this, you might look at it and say, oh, that's common sense, but it's there just as a reference for you. Academic honesty, do your own work. We are fully online, right? I'm not there looking over your shoulder. So we ask for some, integrity when you're doing your work. There's some links to those policies, the college policies there. Obviously, participation is important. You saw the points, right? So hopefully that's not a mystery to you now. Hard copy textbooks optional. I understand if you want to hold a book and read it, I totally get that. The bookstore, in addition to access code, virtual access code, they also have a cheaper version of the book, which is a loose leaf kind of 3-hole punched version. So you can buy just the access code, I believe. Or I think the bookstore has this kind of loose leaf book version, a cheaper version, and access code together. And then this is, again, what we've been talking about, this Connect access being required. Again, 2 weeks free access when you get in there, trial access. Please don't let money be a barrier for you to get in and start working this week. More resources for you as a student at IVC. Again, links to resources there on the homepage, Adobe, Microsoft Office, Outlook. For this class, we might need some sort of like a Office Word, or if you're using Pages or something. When you are uploading, though, please make sure that if you're using a Mac computer, to please upload in either a Word format or a PDF format. Canvas does not like the Mac products. They don't like iPhone pictures, and Canvas does not like Pages files. We can't see them. Drop policy, please. If you are going to totally give up on class and walk away, please drop yourself. I will drop any no-shows in week 1. I have to do that. But if you're having challenges, again, please reach out. Let me know what's going on. Hopefully I can give you some guidance on your next steps and what to focus on next for the remainder of the class. But prime example, after I got my bachelor's degree, my wife had learned to weld in her art classes, and I wanted to learn to weld. So I went to OCC and took a welding class. And I was, sticking metal to metal and was having fun for a couple weeks. And then work got really, really busy. And so I stopped showing up. And when I went to apply for my master's program, sure enough, there's my transcript and it said welding F because I stopped showing up to class. It was my assumption back then that my teacher was going to just remove me from the class, right? I don't do that. So if you're going to stop working at the end of 8 weeks, whatever those points show in that final score column, that's the grade you're going to get. Again, if you're having challenges, please reach out. I want to help you. But know that if you're going to drop, I'm not going to drop you. You're going to have to drop yourself. So that's my example for you. Don't do it. Don't get that F on your transcript because you stopped showing up. We're fully online. Just an overview of content being online, student learning outcomes from this class that you should be learning and walking away from, course description, and we are back up here to the top of page 1. Again, those dates for your reference and hopefully to help you. Please confirm those if you're in a position you need to drop. And my contact info. Again, I get recordings of voicemails, but again, the quickest way you're going to get me is by email. Please rely on that first. And then we can schedule a time to talk if you want to have a conversation. We can do a Zoom, phone call, whatever you need. Here's my office up in the Bistic building. I was on campus today, earlier. And then I do have some Zoom hours on Wednesdays as well. But again, quickest way, email me, and then we can schedule a time to chat too. If you're not available on these random days and times. And that is the syllabus. I want to invite you again for the chat to go ahead and ask any additional questions at this point. And then in just another minute or so, I'll stop the recording and then we can just talk about whatever else you need to talk about. There we go. Stop share. Just double check in the chat. Got all those questions answered. Awesome. I wanted to respect your time and be done. So we're a couple minutes early right now. So we're in good shape on time. I don't see any questions on the chat popping up here. Thank you again for being here. I'm going to go ahead and end the recording in just a sec. And then if you still want to chat and hang out, I'm happy to stay on for a few minutes here and answer any questions. Again, welcome to Org Behavior for this spring semester and look forward to learning with you.